Hi everybody, I'm Miss Susan and today I'll be showing you a Diwali craft. We're so happy to be doing a Diwali craft for the third time. This will be our third annual program. And this year we're going to revisit a craft that we did the first year, I think. We're going to be making some paper diyas. And diyas are DIYAS, are small oil lamps that many families light and place in their windows and on their front porches on Diwali and during the whole week. And instead of having something that lights up and maybe you're worried about having an open flame, you can make a paper one just like this. So we're going to go through all the steps to make one of these. So on the website you will find a link to a PDF that has all the print instructions of everything that I'll be going through today. So there's 2 pages of print instructions of how you're going to fold and glue and things like that. And then we have 2 sheets as well. It's a little bit of a glare here, but there is a grid on here that you can cut out and fold. Maybe have your kids color one side, and here's 2 little flames that you can cut and glue together for your flame. And then the 4th page has the other grid that you'll need to make the other half of your diya. So if you have paper at home that you'd like to use, you can easily adapt this to any type of craft paper that you have at home. Or if you want to have something that's sort of with lines already on it to help you with the folding, you can print these out and color one side of them. It's always easier to do one side color and the other side blank. So you can print all of these out and use those, or as I said, you can use any type of colored craft paper that you might have, or even wrapping paper. So what we used was some foil origami paper. This is 8.5 by 10, and then we cut it in half for 2 strips. So anything that's roughly that size will work. And so you end up with 2 sheets that are, as I said, this one is about 4.25 by 10. And we'll use 2 sheets. I already pre-folded one. We'll come back to that in just a minute. But it's quite simple. You're going to start off with your rectangular sheet of paper, and we're going to do an accordion fold. And we're going to start with the first fold about 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit less if you've got this small of a piece of paper. And I'm going to fold my colored side onto my white side. And as I said, it's just going to be about 1/2 inch. I'm going to start with that. So I fold it and make it straight across. Go across, and then you can see I have one little piece about halfway down. And then I'm going to flip my paper over and I'm going to fold that one back across. Also the exact same width. So we're going to try to make all of our folds exactly the same side. Now I'm going to flip it back over and I'm going to fold it down again. So this will become the accordion fold. Some kids might know this as the fan fold, and it would be exactly like what you would be doing if you were going to fold a little paper fan. But instead of then gathering it up at the bottom, we're going to fold this in half to make a half circle. So I'm just working my way down, flipping it back and forth and doing my folds and trying to keep it roughly the same size. It's not an exact science, especially the way that I do it, but you eventually will get to the end. And this foil paper is very nice because it's so bright and shiny, and it reminds me of the lights of the diyas, the way that they shine in the night. And so that's why I really like using the foil paper. But as I said, any type of thin craft paper, because you're folding quite a bit, so the thinner the paper, really the better. Regular printer paper works, but the thinner, the easier it is for you to open up this fan and make the fold sort of as tight as you possibly can. So now I have reached the end of my folds, and I did a pretty good job this time. I ended up with an almost even across. Sometimes you do that last fold and there's a little bit of extra paper. I just trim that off so that you have it nice and flat. And so you can see I've got that. I'm going to open it up just real quickly so that you can see the full accordion fold right there. So I'm going to close it back up And we're gonna fold this in half at the center. Line up your two ends as best as you can. Sometimes with the foil paper it sticks a little. And so now I have that in half. So there's, you can open it up, you can see I've done that in half, and I am going to glue, put a light layer of glue in this L that we've created and join them together. So I've got my craft glue. Regular Elmer's glue will work. If you use a regular Elmer's glue, it's going to take a little bit more time to dry than this if you have tacky glue, or if you have this craft glue. This is Elmer's craft glue. It's a little bit stickier. It dries a little bit more quickly. It's a little bit easier, but regular glue will work. If you're using a glue stick, you're going to have to hold it together a little bit longer. So I've put my glue on one side, and I'm just going to close that up, and I'm going to hold it for a little second to try to help it set. And make sure, and if you're, when you're at home, you can just sort of sit here and talk with your kids as they're folding theirs. I'm going to let that sit for just a second and show you one that I have finished. So we already glued this one together. It looks very tiny, but we open it up and you can see that it's like a fan. We're not going to open it totally, but you can see now I've glued that centerpiece and it makes a half circle. So our half circle, this is going to be half of our Diya, and we are going to make a little flame. If you print out our instructions, we have some flames that we already made, or you can take a little piece of paper and just freehand cut something that's like a little oval with points at the end and color that with colored pencils. I wouldn't use a crayon, they're too waxy. Maybe a marker would be the best. So you just make a little ovally shape for your flame and color that if you don't want to print something out, if you don't have a printer at home. But I'm going to cut out one of these ones because it's nice and brightly colored. And cut out my little flames that we printed. But the one that I showed you earlier, I just used a highlighter, a little yellow highlighter on that, and was able to make a pretty flame. If you have any yellow paper at home, orange, red, you can freehand cut that to make your flame. And I'm gonna cut the two so that I have a flame that's colored on both sides. I'm gonna cut both of these ones that I printed out. There we go. And I'm gonna glue them together so that I have flames on both sides. All right, a little bit of glue on there. And I'm gonna glue this together. There we go. And I'm gonna trim this so that it matches a little bit more. There we go. All right, so now I have my little flame, and I'm gonna attach it to the center of my half circle. I'm gonna glue it right down there. Just need a little tiny bit on one side and a little tiny bit on the other side for when we join that other circle. So here we go. I'm gonna just stick it right there. Let it sit there for a second while I unfold my other half that's been resting and the glue has been curing. So I'm gonna open that one up a little bit, my other half circle. And really the part that you wanna open up the most is that inside edge that's gonna meet the other half circle. So down here, we're gonna open up. And I'm gonna put some glue all along that edge because we're gonna join these together. My flame doesn't wanna stay on there too well. It'll stick when we glue them together. So I'm gonna open up my fan and I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of glue along here. Again, that craft glue dries a little bit more quickly. You don't wanna have too much because you don't wanna have it, when you glue it together, have that glue come all the way out the top. That's always kind of annoying. All right, so now this is the trickiest part, is joining your two half circles together. And I usually start on one side Start on one side and then bring it over to the other side and put them together. And you may need to kind of get your fingers right in there on some of the folds and adjust your flame. If your glue is very slow to dry, you might want to put a paper clip along the top there to hold the sides, the pieces together. But now I've gone ahead and glued, and I let it rest. Of course, I can't let it rest because I want to show you, but there we go. We have our second completed Diya, our little light to shine in the darkness on Diwali, and you can make lots and lots of these. And if you want to find out more about the holiday of Diwali, we do have a special story time that will be live streamed on Tuesday, and it will be up for a few days after that. So we hope that you join us for the live stream story time to learn about the holiday of Diwali and hear some wonderful books and celebrate Diwali 2020 with us. Thank you so much.